So let's talk about your story you did today. I really enjoyed watching it.
Oh, thank you.
Interesting.
I enjoyed putting it together and learning something myself. That's the one thing I really enjoy about working in this community. We do get to go out and tell phenomenal stories, and we get to pick and choose some of our stories. And nothing makes me happier than when your boss says, hey, for Black History Month, can you go out and find a really good story and put it together and tell it? Mm-hmm. So I found out about Hannibal Square. It's a neighborhood in Winter Park. It was founded in the 1880s, late 1800s, by formerly enslaved people, laborers, and Black families. And it happened 14 years after the Confederacy fell. And when you think about Winter Park, you think about very wealthy people of a certain race, these giant homes, high-end shopping, expensive restaurants. You don't think
When you say a certain race, you'd say white people, like
that's
wealthy
white people. Yeah. And so you don't think of Black people being the foundation of Winter Park, and that's exactly what happened. But then they were run out, of course, as you know, because of segregation and so many other things. But I was able to find, her name is Farrellyn Livingston, and she is, my gosh, what a treasure, what a treat to be able to spend time with her, to give me a history lesson on Hannibal Square in Winter Park, a place where she grew up when it was segregated in the 50s. And she pointed out where her house was. Her house is literally where she grew up. Her house is 2 blocks off of Park Avenue. And if you know anything about Park Avenue in Winter Park, high dollar.
Touch a house.
No.
A lot for under $1 million.
Nothing. And it is so popular. But she told about growing up there and how it was a sense of pride for that community to be self-sustaining. Like they didn't require help from the outside communities because they stuck together. It truly was. It takes a village. She said she didn't even have a phone. Her neighbor would have a phone. They would go make a phone call at the neighbor's house. Just things like that. Yeah. And outside of the school, the place that is her former elementary school is this beautiful mosaic that was created by the folks at Crealdi, and the kids put it all together. And it tells the history of Winter Park and Hannibal Square. And it was so shocking because she goes, oh, this is the church where everybody went. And she goes, okay, this in the center, it says family, and there's this house and it has the number 800 on it. And she goes, do you recognize that number? Because at the beginning of her tour, she said, I grew up my address was 800 West New England Avenue. I was like, oh my gosh, your house is the center of this piece of artwork that's now woven into Winter Park history. I got chills talking to her about it. But what it reminded me of, Matt, is that here's this woman, she is not even 80 years old. She's 79. But she was a part of this community. And we talk about segregation and things that happen, and it seems like it happened so long ago. But here's this woman who lived through it and
she saw it with her own eyes.
Yeah. And is telling the story now, so we don't ever forget that happened, and we don't ever forget the story of how this community came to be. And the cornerstone of that community would not be there if it were not for people like her and her family.
Mm-hmm. How do they feel about the current state? Because you go there, Hannibal Square, very fancy, very ritzy, obviously gentrified at this point.
That's the word she uses too.
My 2 questions are, how do they feel about what it's turned into? And where did the people who were pushed out go? Did they go to Eatonville? What happened?
Yeah, well, growing up there, you would go to Winter Park High School if it were not segregated, but they had to go to Eatonville to go to high school. So they did.
So she couldn't go to Winter Park.
No, okay. And they know it's gentrified, but they also say that they are still here and that history is still there. And as long as she is alive to tell the history, it won't be erased. And they want people. It's the Heritage Center that's in Hannibal Square. They want to hear these stories because that's the only way it's going to be kept alive. Sometimes word of mouth is the way these stories are carried on, and it changes over generations because, you know, that telephone game, you say one thing and by the end of it, you don't get the full story. They're encouraging people who have stories, who have pictures, to tell their stories and donate it to the Heritage Center so they can tell those stories. And if you ever go down there, and I highly encourage everyone to, you'll see the beautiful pictures of the people who grew up there in the late 1800s through the 1950s and 60s. Just such beautiful pictures of cars, fashion, and it just makes you smile. But to see that and just read it in their own words, that means that history is written down and it won't be erased.
Good stuff, Ginger Gatz.
I love doing it. I loved learning